this video, we're going to test your executive functioning, and when we're done, you will have an individual profile of your executive functioning deficits so that you can understand yourself better and know what to work on. With one of my dyslexic coaching clients, we took a look at his diagnostic assessment, and they also included a test for executive functioning. The test used was the Barclay Deficits in Executive Functioning Scale. So I decided to use this official diagnostic tool for the basis of this video. That being said, I adapted it, I had to shorten it quite a bit, and I added information of my own. To make sure that we're all on the same page here, I would like to give you a definition of executive functioning by Harvard University. So, executive functioning and self-regulation skills are the mental processes that enable us to plan, focus attention, remember instructions, and juggle multiple tasks successfully. Just as an air traffic control system at a busy airport safely manages the arrivals and departures of many aircrafts on multiple runways, the brain needs this skill set to filter distractions, prioritize tasks, and set achievable goals and control impulses. Executive functioning is divided into 5 different sub-skill sets. The first one being self-management to time, self-motivation, self-restraint, self-organization and problem-solving, and self-regulation of emotion. We're going to go over all of them, and you can either copy the diagram that I showed you before, or you can simply keep track of the times you answered yes. And as a dyslexic myself, I'm going to do this right along with you. When it comes to self-organization and problem-solving, you should ask yourself, do you feel like you're a bit slower than others when it comes to solving problems in your daily life? And also, do you find that you have trouble focusing at work, at tasks that need to get done? The next question is, do you easily get distracted by events or thoughts while you were actually trying to take care of the clutter in the closet? We were thinking that these bins take care of the issue, but, well, they didn't really. Do you have trouble organizing your thoughts? And maybe the state of your desktop is kind of reflecting that difficulty. Next question, do you find it difficult to consider different options for doing something and then weighing the consequences of each option? And also, is it harder for you to do things in the right sequence or order? These are things that I find quite difficult, so I answered yes 5 times. Would you say you find it hard to keep things in mind that you really shouldn't forget? And the second question is, do you tend to miss or be late for appointments? Another question that you might want to ask yourself is, would you say that you generally have a poor sense of time? A while ago, I, for example, had an interview scheduled with 2 professors, and they ended up waiting 45 minutes before I finally showed up because I was at home drinking coffee. It was terribly frustrating. Other things that you might observe in yourself are things like having trouble to get started on a particular task, or also that you tend to procrastinate and then that you only get going when it's really close to a certain deadline, for example. So you really wait until the last minute. And the last question for this section is, do you have trouble following through on commitments or promises that you make to other people around you? Time management difficulties are quite familiar to me, so also here a very high score of 6 yeses. The next section is all about emotional self-regulation. And the first question here would be, do you tend to stay upset and emotional longer than other people around you? And also, would you say that you have a hard time calming yourself down once you've been in an emotional, difficult situation? Another question would be, do you find it difficult to reframe or redefine a negative event that happened and to see it in a more positive light? And also, do you tend to be more excitable than other people around you? Is walking away from an emotionally upsetting situation difficult for you? And would it be fair to say that you tend to overreact emotionally to different circumstances? This time I only collected a single yes. This next section is all about self-restraint. So we're taking a look at your impulsive tendencies and your ability to tolerate frustration, among other things. The first question in this section would be, do you find rules kind of difficult? Do you tend to maybe not follow them? And another question here is, are you more likely to participate in risk-taking activities? If self-restraint is an issue for you, you might find that you see something on social media and you just have to do it. It's really hard for you to stop yourself doing it. So then suddenly you have to find the perfect way to smoke a chicken. It would also be typical for you to have difficulty stopping your activity once you start it, even though you might know that you actually should be working. Another question would be, do you find it difficult to wait? Do people tend to describe you as impatient? And another one, if you talk to other people, do you make impulsive comments without really thinking about them first? They just, come out. This time I answered yes 3 times. When it comes to your self-motivation, you might find that your willpower and your determination is a little bit less compared to peers around you. And you might also find that the quality and the quantity of your output tends to be a bit inconsistent. You might also be more likely to skip out of work if it's kind of boring to you. So after 2 hours or so, I would tell myself, how about I go climbing now? And then later I get back to work. And then later comes and I'm still at the climbing gym. So that tends to happen. Another question that you might want to ask yourself is, do you feel like you have to have an immediate payoff? And if you don't, things are just not getting done. And also, would you say that it's harder for you to work towards long-term goals? Now, for me, it's a lot easier if I focus on intrinsic motivation. So if these are things that I'm working toward that are really interesting to me, personally anyway, then it's easier to get them done. And lastly, would you say that you're unable to work as well as others without supervision? So maybe you don't have that many issues at work, but when you're working on your own project, you find it hard to motivate yourself. Over here, you can see my executive functioning deficits profile. And for me, time management is one big issue that I'm working on, as well as self-organization. Now, if you would like to know how I deal with the emotional side of executive functioning, then you can have a look at the video right here. And I hope you got value out of this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.